Welcome back. You're still watching Politics Tonight, digging beyond the headlines. And now to our interview with the guest of the day. I am joined by a professor of sociology and national publicity secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Tuku Mohammed Baba, for discussion on the disturbing wave of banditry in northern Nigeria. Thank you so much for joining us, Prof.
My pleasure.
Right. So let's start this conversation with your broad understanding of the security issues in northern Nigeria. How will you describe it?
I would describe it as sad and disheartening in general. I mean, this is something that has been going on for the best part of the last 10 years. And from the look of things, it's either we are not doing things right or it's, they are not effective. So there is a need, so to speak, to think out of the box. But in fact, I would prefer that people start thinking even within the box. Communities in northern Nigeria, in more than one state, you can name it: Kaduna State, Katsina State, Sokoto, Zamfara, Kebbi, Taraba, Nasarawa, Kogi. I mean, it's spreading. It's a disease that seems to be spreading faster than we think. It's at any rate, behaving like rogue cells in the body, cancer cells, just spreading faster than we can even understand. I mean, this is, for God's sake, the 21st century. This is 2023. And poor students in a part of Nigeria that at the best of times, as the Area Consultative Forum said in its press release, at the best of times, these girls having access to school, it's highly challenging. And then, of course, there is a soft target for them to be abducted in the wee hours of the night. I mean, what can you say? And then we go on. Communities in Kaduna State, communities in Plateau State, to the south of the hills in Taraba, the hills south of Jalingo. I understand that bandits have set up camps there and making life miserable for people in even the metropolitan areas. I mean, you cannot travel at any part of the night between Gusau, Sokoto, Zaria, Kaduna without fear. You cannot travel in many areas of the country. I mean, for God's sake, this is one of the biggest challenges, in my opinion, to peaceful coexistence in this part of the country since the Civil War years. I mean, we are not talking about sporadic, episodic clashes here. We are not talking of conventional crimes, so to speak, like armed robbery, burglary, and so on. We are talking about sustained attack on a daily basis, as if it's a chain. It happens in Katsina, the next day it's in eastern Sokoto, the very next day it's in southern parts of Kaduna State, the very next day it's in northern parts of Kaduna State, such as Giwa area, the very next day it's in Taraba. People are shot, communities abducted, and then these attacks seem to be targeted at people who are already economically challenged, villagers. All they have are a few things, a few bags of grain, one or two livestock, and then these people are ransacked. You go to most of the, let me take the epicenter of the banditry, Sokoto, Zamfara, and Katsina. In Zamfara, you go to all the major cities of Zamfara State, such as Gusau, Talata, Mafara, Anka, Maru, Kauran, Namoda. All you see are women and children walking barefooted, hungry, looking farther, without desperate, without hope. You sit down and ask them, what's the problem? We have been ransacked, we have been sacked from our villages, they have been deserted. Then, of course, none of these are living in even ordinary, refugee camps. They are simply walking the streets, sleeping wherever they can. In the rainy season, I mean, the situation is really pathetic, and it's a cause for worry for everyone, not just the government, not just the security agencies, even the communities within which these people are located. And of course, it has implications for the national political economy. It has implications for agricultural production. It has implications for access to health, access to education, maternal mortality. I mean, these are areas that are already that have been already down there in the indices of development. What is life becoming? What can I say? It's a desperate situation. If not hopeless, it is desperate at the very least.
So, Prof, putting together all you've said, the North is really in the eye of the storm regarding insecurity. Why this?
Yeah. Sorry, you said the North is really in the eye of the storm. It is a victim of the storm itself. This is a storm carrying everybody around and around and around and around. It's not just the eye of the storm. I think it's better to say the victim. And something has to be done about it and be done urgently. I mean, we need to declare a state of emergency on insecurity, not just in the North, in any part of Nigeria where miscreants, bandits, and terrorists hold people to ransom by the barrel of the gun. We must not allow a situation where miscreants, criminals, common criminals, hold the economy of the nation, hold everyday life to ransom, so that we have to kowtow to their demands as irrational. And I mean, what can you do? As irrational as these demands are, what else can you say?
So, Prof, while so much gains have been made against Boko Haram insurgency, that cannot be said about banditry. What do you think is responsible for this?
The situation is that it is, I agree, and I consider it dynamic. But then the ineffectiveness of the security measures taken against this scourge is responsible for its dynamism. So every miscreant, every uneducated, illiterate person will get access to arms that are coming across the border into our country and declare themselves lord of the areas in which they operate. They shoot at will, they rape at will, they ransack villages, I mean, without control. So it becomes attractive. Well, okay, way of life has become difficult, all kinds of challenges, all kinds of problems. But then the poor is not responsible for that, who is not a victim of inattention from government, who is not a victim of the economic difficulties that people confront. Is it a ground for criminality? No. The majority of poor people in the world, in Nigeria, in northern Nigeria, are one, God-fearing. Two, these are people who are obedient to power and authority, and so on. Then you come and disrupt their life. What can you say? I will say that the measures we have taken against these bandits have not worked, are not working, and we should not pretend about it. Change of personnel of the top commanders of the armed forces, I've said it elsewhere, that is not enough. There must be targets. There must be assignments. People must be held accountable for their success and also their failures. One of the problems in our country is impunity. People are paid for failure. If they are not paid for failure, they don't pay for their failure. I mean, we keep going, doing the same thing over and over and over again. We need changes in operational activities. We need to give our security forces specific targets, together, like I've said elsewhere, with timelines within which they must deliver results. We shouldn't be throwing money at this problem, and there is no doubt about it. A lot of people are benefiting from this scourge, and it will be difficult, but that should to stop them. But that should not be a reason for complacency. That should not be a reason for accepting mediocrity from anybody at all. Everybody involved. Look, life must be made to return to normal, no matter what it takes. This government must not take sabotage from even within itself, let alone from others. I mean, I'm not looking. We are not looking. We are not just making wild allegations. This government said when the president was campaigning, he said he will take or he will build on what the last government did. Okay, fine. The last president said to us publicly that there is a foreign connection to this insurgency. At the very least, he said the debacle in Libya is responsible for the flow of arms and light weapons to the south of the Sahara, which means there is an international dimension to this. That's number one. So we need to deal with that. We need to identify who are the international collaborators. What is their motivation? What is it that they don't want? And I can guarantee you that their motivation, one, is to kill chaos so that they can reap as much as possible. They sell arms, they remove our resources, and so on. So they have a motivation, and we have a motivation to stop them because they are making life miserable for us. This country needs to move forward, and it has to move forward whether its enemies like it or not, whether these enemies are internal or they are external. We have to. So we have to rally around the president in his endeavor to ensure that peace returns to our communities. Our children are able to go to school without fear. Our traders move from one location to another in the country. More importantly, our farmers should be able to go to the farm without fear of being abducted, without fear of being asked to produce. You know, the kind of thing happening to our rural areas is as if you are squeezing water out of a bath towel to drink. These people are already economically challenged. They have to sell farms, they have to sell crops, they have to sell whatever they have to pay bandits. If you remember the last report, yeah.
Prof, let's try to, compartmentalize these issues. Abduction is still very rampant, as you heard with female students of the Federal University in Zamfara State. Why is this difficult for the country to tame?
Yeah, that it's difficult for the country to take. I mean, what else can you say? The RL Consultative Forum, other foreign media have said a lot of this. You know, you are discouraging people from going to school, and we have seen evidence that people are being discouraged already. But we must not give in to the terrorists. We must not give them the fleeting pleasure that they have brought us to our knees. Our girls must be allowed to go to school because this is one of the most essential ingredients of self-development for them.
Right. So I know ACF released a statement describing the attack as well planned, coordinated, and executed by the bandits. Why do you think they have so much room? Why do you think they have so much room to operate like that?
I personally think they must have their own intelligence. In the North, we have a euphemism for them, and I think it's unfortunate. We call them informants instead of calling them criminals and so on. They must have worked on intelligence. When I say intelligence, I don't mean the conventional intelligence we teach people in school, the police, the armed forces. No, anybody gathering information on the state of things in any particular area. I mean, if you know the geography of the location of the hostels where those girls were picked at 4 o'clock in the morning, you will know that this couldn't have been achieved without information gathering, information storage, information retrieval and use. If you look at the timing of it, it was obviously based on some native intelligence, if you speak, native intelligence gathering. It was done in such a way that it's like a precision operation by a wing of the armed forces. Timing is critical. Surprise is another element. You surprise the people around. You just come in when you are least expected. And then from what we understand, the bandits came organized in bands, as if they had what we call division of labor. There were those who were firing guns to scare people away. There were those who were breaking doors and windows. There were those who were shouting, and there were those who were ready with motorcycles to extract people and carry them away. And then there were those who were ready to confront the security agencies. Come on, do you need any ingredient to tell you that that must have been based on careful planning and execution? I say no.
So, Prof, let's go back to the issue of banditry. I mean, one of the factors some analysts are blaming for widespread banditry is illegal mining, especially in Zamfara State. To what extent do you think illegal mining is fueling banditry?
It is. And again, I don't want to go I don't want to go into speculations. Let's deal with what we know. Let's deal with what the government itself has acknowledged, directly or indirectly. This government is only 4 months old, so let's even go beyond that. The last government of General Buhari imposed a no mining directive on Zamfara State at the height of some of the bandit attacks. What does it tell you? The government recognizes the nexus between illegal mining or mining itself and banditry. Secondly, the same government of Muhammadu Buhari imposed a no-fly zone on Zamfara State. At the time, there were allegations that foreign planes and helicopters were flying in and out of villages in Zamfara State. What does it tell you? The government was saying, and so far it has not told us it has stopped. The government is saying there is a nexus between what is happening. I mean, we all know, thirdly, that Zamfara is one of the richest in underground minerals. And in our constitution, this is the preserve of anything below the soil is the exclusive preserve of the federal government. So if federal government is taking these factors into consideration, do you need any more evidence to show you that there is a connection between illegal mining? And then we have had stories of foreigners in remote areas of Zamfara State who will be sitting down with bags of money. They will not be mining, but the illegal miners will come and sell it to them. Let me also go back to government information. A few months ago, the Zamfara State Police Command invaded a house located within Gusau Metropolis, where some foreigners were arrested and accused of being engaged in the business of illegal mining. And I mean it from the mining itself to transportation. Let's go back to Niger State recently. Only recently, it was revealed that some of the miners, big or small, were paying bandit leaders for access to the mining site. Do you need anything to tell you that there is a nexus between? And I repeat, I am using completely information that is there in the open. Most of it from government sources. In my opinion, we shouldn't be pretending about it anymore.
So, Prof,
there has been the involvement of too many people in the mining sector.
Okay.
We don't need to go very far.
Right. So I asked that question because Zamfara State Governor Dauda Lawal recently banned illegal mining and issued a site order against them. So do you think this can help?
We hope it can help. It's not whether I think it will help. We hope it can help. But of course, it has to be accompanied by a new containment strategy against this scout. In the past, we have gone through the rigmarole of banning and making announcements and so on. It is not worked. We need to back it up with proper action. I will advise the governor of Zamfara State to make sure that there is a strategy, a new strategy for confrontation, a new strategy to see to it that this is stopped. And of course, we need to identify who are those benefiting from the chaos. We need to identify who are those hiding behind the mask to push bandits into this. And there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that certain key individuals, certain politically exposed individuals, certain commercial interests, even traditional leadership institutions have a say in this thing. One way or the other, we have to get to the root of the matter. And of course, it has been said so many times, we need kinetic and non-kinetic strategies. But I will add that we also need to give the youth involved in this, misled into getting involved in this, something to hold on to, something to look forward to with hope in life, because we cannot allow this thing to continue.
But Prof, why do you think it has been very difficult for these governors to tame banditry? Because many analysts say the governors have big roles to play in tackling insecurity in their various states.
Yeah, I will reduce it to interest. You see, so long as someone somewhere is benefiting from the chaos, this thing will continue. And unless we go to the roots of that, understanding, the Chinese used to have a saying, one way to deal with the fish in a pond, a problematic fish in a pond, is to remove the water in which this fish swims. So to come back to the issue, it's a multi-dimensional problem. And I agree that, like I said earlier, it is dynamic. It is evolving all the time. We have to have a multi-dimensional strategy to contain it. We have to look at it from all kinds of perspectives and try to link them together. A few months ago, some religious leader in a village in Katsina State was identified as an informant for the bandits in their area. I mean, so long as we allow these so-called informants to take organic roots in the social organization of the society, so long as they come out from what you call normal people, it's going to be difficult. We need to reorient our people. All government agencies need to, the ministries of information or the departments of information at the local government, at the state government, at the federal government, mass media, public and private, organizations such as the National Orientation Agency. We need to start targeting the values, those things that people hold dear, and drawing their attention, making the linkage. We need to dematerialize our youth, thinking that you can make money overnight, like a fast break in basketball. The problem with fast break in basketball, as we know, is if you are not so good at it, you break your leg very easy. And we should get this information to our youth. That this is the problem. I agree that it is difficult, but it is not impossible. Anything man-made is reversible. With determination, with values, with resources, we can overcome this problem.
Right. But Prof, on the other hand, you have these governors who have said that the security arrangement in the Constitution has rendered them handicapped and incapable of securing their states. For you, does this hold waters?
It does. It does. This is a major lacuna in our Constitution, that you call someone chief security officer of any unit. Local government, let's begin from my household. I'm the chief security officer of my household, but I have no control on the deployment of our guard. I mean, that cannot be effective. It's the same thing with local government. The chairman of the local government is the chief security officer of the local government area. The state governor is the chief security officer of the state, but they have no direct operational control and command over the security forces. Recently, we have come across a highly embarrassing situation in Zamfara State that even the governor was forced to go public and cry out. These are agents of the federal government who were seen in video clips negotiating with bandits. Not that the bandits should surrender the arms we see them carrying in the video. No, but they should be given passage, free passage, to move from one point to another. And it turned out that these are alleged to be agents of the federal government negotiating free passage, free passage for bandits from one area to another without the knowledge of the state government. For God's sake, this is a lacuna in our constitutional arrangement. And I hope and pray that members of the 10th National Assembly will pay attention to that and quickly find a solution. Suddenly, governors, local government chairmen, as chief security officers of their jurisdictions are handicapped, while they are in theory responsible for security, they don't have the necessary resources. That is to say, control over the deployment, the operations of the security forces. And we see in every state, governors buying vehicles to help the police, to help the army, and so on. I mean, the government seems to abdicating its responsibility for the allocation of resources to the state government, but holding on tight to command of the personnel and operations and deployment. I mean, it's a major gap. And I hope that we should address this in one way or the other if we are to move forward. I concede.
All right,
the
Prof.
nature of politics we play is that if you allow control down to the state levels, some may abuse it. But are we not abusing it at the federal level? How can you send people to a state to negotiate with terrorists without the knowledge of the government, and you say you're operating government? Now, I don't buy that.
All right, Prof. Let's take a break. I've been speaking with a professor of sociology and national publicity secretary of the Arewa Consultative Forum, Professor Tuku Mohammed Bala, tonight to discuss